Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Rick here, and on today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about our travel day preparations. So stay tuned. So number 5 on my list of prep day items is to start putting away non-essential equipment. And that's going to go ahead and pack up things that we're not going to be using the day prior to our travel day and go ahead and get it loaded up in the truck. So one of those items is our Blackstone grill. It's been raining the last couple of days, and we're going to be cooking inside, either eating sandwiches or having other things like that. So we're not going to use the grill. So we're going to go ahead and get this packed up along with some of our other non-essential equipment and get it into the truck and or the storage bays of the Airstream, so we have less things to do on our travel day and we can really focus on the actual travel. So let's get after it. We'll go ahead and get this packed up. All right, so now that we've got this all packed up, we'll go ahead and get it loaded up in the truck, and then we'll move on to the next item to get packed up. So another item that we're not going to use today, and then we're going to go ahead and get packed up, is our Coleman compact folding table. Again, it's been raining, so we're going to go ahead and get this packed up and get it loaded up in the truck. So next on my list of non-essential equipment to go ahead and pack up are my XJocks. Now, some folks may want to go ahead and keep theirs in use on the day prior to the travel day, but for me, I go ahead and take them out and go ahead and store them. I still use the stabilizer jacks on the Airstream, but it's just one less step I've got to worry about on the travel morning, especially if we're trying to get on the road quick if we got a long ways to drive. So I'll go ahead and take these off. I'll go ahead and get them in storage, and we'll move on to the next item to pack up. Okay, so tip number 4, after you've got your non-essential equipment loaded up, is to check the tire pressure on your rig. So we're going to go ahead and check that now. I usually run about 65 PSI based off of 27-foot Airstream International and the weight of this rig based off of what I've determined off of the CAT scale. But I know a lot of people will run more pressure and some will run less, but I've found that running 65 PSI works really well for us. So even though I've got a TPMS system, I still like to manually check my air pressure, and then if needed, I'll go ahead and put some air in it, and then I'll verify that air pressure with the TPMS system here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and check the tire pressure on all 4 tires. Okay, so this one's running about 2 pounds low, so I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of air in here, and then we'll check it one more time. Okay, right at 65 PSI, so I think we're good to go on that tire. And if you're wondering, I'm using a Vi-Air portable air compressor. I'll show that here in just a moment, but it's a great piece of equipment to have in your rig, because you never know when you need to put some air in your tire, either in your tow vehicle or in your rig itself. So I can't highly recommend the Vi-Air enough. It's a great air compressor, doesn't take up much space, and has really come in handy for us. So let's go ahead and finish checking the rest of the tires, and then we'll move on to tip number 3. All right, guys, so after checking the tire pressure on all 4 tires and inflating it to 64 PSI using the manual tire pressure gauge, I then followed up with the TPMS. And as you can see, all 4 tires are at 64 PSI. So there's only about 1 PSI difference between the manual air compressor and what the TPMS is reading. So I look at that as being a way of double checking what my tire pressures are. And I think I'm good to go with that for tomorrow's trip. So, all right, moving on to the next step. So this is the air compressor we use. It's made by Air. It's the 400P RV automatic portable air compressor. It's a great piece of equipment, runs on 12 volts and has a, as you can see, a long air hose as well as all of the gauges that you need to air up any tire on your rig or even on your tow vehicle. Has a high enough PSI that you can get this thing up to about 70, 80 PSI. I think probably even higher than that, up to maybe 120 PSI. But you'd have to check into those specifics, but it's been a great air compressor for us and wouldn't travel without it. Okay guys, so tip number 3 after you've checked the air pressure on all your tires is to go ahead and check the torque. You want to make sure that all of the lugs are tightened down to the specific torque requirements for your rig. For this rig here, for this 2017 Airstream, it's 210 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and check all of the torque on all of the lugs on all 4 tires. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and set your torque wrench to a specific torque rating. Once you're done checking the torque, then you need to go ahead and release the tension back off of this torque wrench to maintain its calibration. So we'll go ahead and dial this in. Okay, so right there it is at 110 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and check the torque on these 4 wheels and move on to our next tip. So guys, whenever you are checking the torque, you want to make sure that you're following a star pattern, going from one lug nut to the alternate lug nut back and forth around the wheel, so that you make sure that you tighten the lugs down evenly and you don't put undue stress on any one part of the rim itself. So we'll go ahead and do that now. All right guys, so tip number 2 on our prep day is to go ahead and top off the truck with fuel and to check it over to make sure it's ready for the trip tomorrow. So I got my keys, we're gonna head up to the gas station, we'll go ahead and get the truck topped off, and then we'll come back and check over the truck, make sure all the belts and hoses are good to go, and we'll move on to our final tip. All right, so all topped off, ready to go for tomorrow. Got a full tank of gas. We'll get back to the campground and we'll go ahead and check out the truck as well and make sure that it's ready to go for tomorrow's travel day. Hey guys, so we made it back from the gas station, got the truck topped off with fuel, and I usually like to take this as an opportunity also to go ahead and check the fluid levels on the truck. So I'm going to go ahead and check the oil, check the belts, make sure everything looks visually good to go before we get on the road, check the other fluids as well. But again, everything you can do to remain safe on your travel day is something you really want to focus on, and that's usually focused on your tow vehicle and on your rig itself, and making sure that tires, fluids, air pressures, and all those things are good to go. So we're going to go ahead and check the oil now and check out everything else underneath the hood for the truck. So. Yep, so checking the oil levels look good. I've still got about 20% oil life according to the dashboard on this truck, but we'll go ahead and get that oil changed probably in the next few weeks. Looking at the battery here, everything looks pretty good. This one terminal here looks a little bit corroded, so I'll probably need to go ahead and take a wire brush to that and get that cleaned up a little bit before it gets too bad. As far as inspecting everything else, don't see any leaks anywhere. Radiator hoses look good. Radiator fluid, if you look here, you can see what the levels are on the side of the reservoir tank. Those all look good. Looking at the belts, those all look good as well. And we did have all of this checked recently. About a couple of months ago, we took the vehicle into the GMC dealer and had a complete service on it as well. So this is just part of following up with operator maintenance. One thing that they did teach me in the Army is you got to definitely stick with your maintenance on your vehicles. So everything looks good to go. Okay guys, so we finished up everything we needed to get accomplished outside today in preparation for our travel day tomorrow. So as mentioned, we've already loaded up all of our non-essential equipment. We went ahead and checked all 4 tires and their air pressure, added air to those tires that needed any air. We went ahead and checked the torque on all of the tires on the rig. We took the tow vehicle up, topped it off on fuel, and also checked out under the hood, make sure all of the other belts, hoses, and all the other fluids are good to go. So again, all of these steps here are just tips to help make your travel day less stressful, and anything that you can do on the day prior can only make your travel day a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more enjoyable. So our last tip, and we're going to go inside the rig for this, and we're going to talk about route planning. Okay guys, so our final tip for this video is route planning, and we've come inside the Airstream and I've got my iPad here, and what I'll do is I'll flip the screen around so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So really there's 2 primary apps that I use, RV Life, Trip Wizard, as well as Google Maps. As you can see here, when I log in, I've got my trips set up by different seasons. So we're in summer of 22, so I'm going to scroll down, and we're going to be starting from Shore Hills and we're going to be traveling to Acadia. On this screen here, you can see that I've got my Airstream data imported in, so it knows the size and the length and the weight of my Airstream, and then I can ask it to build a route for me. As you can see here, it's built 3 routes, one that's 118 miles, one that's 172 miles, and then an alternate auto route that's 117 miles. So I'll look through these routes, see which one I think is best for our travels, and then make that selection. But what I'll also do is I will then cross-reference these with what Google Maps is showing me as well. And because this is a relatively short trip, I'm not going to schedule in any fuel stops or rest stops. So what I'll do now is I'll bring up Google Maps, and I'll type in our location where we're headed to, which is again Acadia Seashore Camping and Cabins up by Winter Harbor. And as you can see, Google will provide me 2 routes, a southern route and a more northern route. One's 107 miles, about 2.5 hours, and then the northern route is 2 hours and 43 minutes at 148 miles. So most likely I'm not going to take the northern route. I'm going to stick with the southern route, and I'll just compare that southern route with what the RV Trip Wizard navigation system is showing me as well, and then make a determination on which one of those I want to use. So some other apps that we use, as you can see here on the screen, is Campendium, Harvest Host, Allstays, Recreation.gov, and some of these other sites. Now these aren't necessarily going to help me with my route planning, but they can also help me with finding dump stations or places where I need to, if I want to just do an overnight stay, if I got a longer route that I'm going to be traveling on. But again, not sponsored by any of those apps, not sponsored by RV Trip Wizard. I do subscribe to their program. I think it's a great program. And if you're not using that program, I would recommend it. It is good. But whatever program you do use and whatever system that works best for you, it has to be something you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable with it, you're not going to use it. So again, it's not so much what app or navigation system you're using, it's that you do the pre-planning and you identify what route you're going to follow and where you're going to stop at if you need to make any stops, because that is what's going to make your travel day less stressful. So again, that's our final tip for our prep day is route planning. And I'm going to finish up our route planning for tomorrow's trip, and we'll be on the road. Okay, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully these 5 tips are going to be useful for you on your next travel day. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel, and also give us a big thumbs up if you found this video to be helpful. Again, we appreciate everything that you guys do and for watching, and stay safe, and we'll see you down the road.